Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Sally Lipsky, right in front of all the lights here, with Plant-Based Pittsburgh. And of course, I'm delighted tonight to introduce you, if you don't know Brittany Giroudi, who is has her professional business as a plant-based recipe developer, cook, and what do you call it? Entrepreneur. Okay, let's do that. Okay. So she's going to do this wonderful session. I just want to mention that if you are local or want to come local, we have somebody already traveling from Michigan, but we are having a summit on April, I don't know if you can see it, but April 20th, 2024. It's a Saturday. And the point of the summit is to guide people. It's an all-day summit, guide people how to get yourself started and sustaining some plant-based eating, plant-centered eating. And it is only $50, includes breakfast, includes lunch, speakers, workshops, materials. And if you actually buy a ticket before February 1st, you get the early bird discount, $40. Okay. So for those in the studio audience, we do have some cards back here if you think somebody is interested. But it's just the registration just opened up and it will be in our next newsletter. Okay. Having said that, I am going to turn it over to Brittany and sit here. And everyone, I don't know where, do you want to just, they can see the screen from
Okay.
here. Yes.
All right. So when I started my whole food plant-based journey, coming up on 8 years now, I wanted to make recipes that were familiar, not only for myself, but to get my husband on board, to make it exciting for him, and with the potential of hopefully getting other family members on board. So when I started, I really started dissecting family recipes. A lot of times, my biggest thing I hear is people think they have to throw away everything. The holidays are the hardest, with Thanksgiving coming up. Usually people backslide during that or Christmas. And really those are kind of the hard things I notice people, do well for a while. Then a family holiday comes up and you kind of go backwards. But you don't have to, because there's ways of tweaking those recipes and still having them be healthy. So this was a family recipe of mine that was beloved. My great aunt made it for every holiday, birthday. There's some family function. This cake was there. And you can see, definitely was not the healthiest. This is the original. And I like to call this my Mount Everest of recipes because it took some time, but I'm able to figure it out. And I made it for you guys tonight. But it turns out better than the original. The original was great the first day, but then it wasn't great after. It was very dry, the chocolate part. Usually you love the chocolate or the cream cheese filling. There wasn't usually you love both, lots of family members would be like sharing which part. And this one is such a nice blend, which everyone I've made it for in my family who's had the original has loved it even more. All right, so we're gonna get into it. So you can see there's 2 cups of sugar, a cup of oil, 2 eggs, flour, cocoa, baking soda, baking powder, salt, hot coffee. There was butter or sour milk and vanilla. So how did I make this whole food plant-based? Well, I just dissect recipes. So for the sugar, we added in half a cup of date paste. And I also experimented this with half a cup of date sugar. So depending on either one you have in your pantry, if you don't feel like making date paste, or if you don't feel like making sugar, either one you can use, and it's exactly 1-to-1. So half a cup was sweet enough because we're going to add some other things that are a sweetener as well to this in a minute, like applesauce. So the dates and the applesauce really help sweeten it, but also help keep it moist. So I used half a cup of applesauce for the oil. So we're going to kind of go step by step down. Instead of eggs, I did 1 flax egg, which is just a tablespoon of flax meal mixed with 3 tablespoons of water, and it gels up to be an egg replacement. And you might say, like, well, why didn't I do 1-to-1? There's 2 cups of sugar in the original, there's only half a cup in the one. There's only one egg, flax egg in ours. There's two eggs in the original. And that just takes some practice, but I always find that less is kind of more. Sometimes these original recipes, like they really like to pile it on. And you don't necessarily need to match it 1-to-1. And as we stick to whole food plant-based, our taste buds change, you know, things get naturally sweeter to us. You taste something now that's not plant-based and you wickedly know straight away what's in it just from tasting it. For the flour, I did a combination. A lot of the times with plant-based eating and desserts, people complain about how dense things are. So I find that doing a combination of flours really helps lighten that up. And so that could also be like, doesn't have to be oat flour and whole wheat flour. Just as long as it's two different ones, it really does make a difference. It can be whole wheat pastry flour is really nice. It can be einkorn flour. It can be gluten-free flour. But I find that, you know, dividing it and using half and half really helps the recipe.
What was the second? Einkorn flour?
Einkorn flour. Yeah, and so einkorn is a grain, and a lot of people that are gluten-free sensitivity can actually have einkorn because it's not processed in the same way. It's kind of an ancient grain, but you'd have to go, you know, a specialty health food store would carry it. You couldn't find it at your local Giant Eagle, unfortunately.
How do you spell it?
It starts with an E. I think it's EINKORN. But it's a great grain too, and we make it with our pizza crust and lots of other ways. Like I always just try to switch up which flour I'm using. We use cocoa powder. You also could use cacao powder. Either or interchangeably works. We use baking soda and baking powder, and I just kept it 1-to-1 like the original recipe, although cut it down a little bit. And you can see the recipe, it's a full cake. It's not like it's half a cake. We go to do it. Instead of salt, I use some white miso paste. It's a great salt replacement. The soy miso really helps you protect against your blood pressure issues. And again, a little bit of, if you see salt, especially in a baked good, you can add a little bit of white miso paste as that replacement. And it, you know, even when you're using breads, if you're making a bread that needs to rise and things like that, that generally they have salt in it, it's really fun to play around with white miso as the replacement for that. And I found that it does the similar reaction that you're looking for. And then we used 1 cup of hot coffee. Now you also could use a coffee replacement like Dandy Blend or Ticino. If you're not having caffeine, you can use decaf coffee. You also can use black tea, as long as it's hot is the ticket. And then for our sour milk / butter, we make our own sour milk by mixing up some plant milk and some apple cider vinegar, and you let it sit for about same time as the flax egg. I do both at the same time. So if you walk back in like 10-15 minutes, the sour milk will have curdled just like traditional sour milk does. And you can see it's done. And the flax egg has really soaked up a lot of that liquid. And then we also use some vanilla. Okay. All right, so this cake, that's the batter part. So I fill half of a bundt cake with that batter. Then I save half of it. We're gonna make the cream cheese filling. And then you dump the rest of the leftover batter from the chocolate part on top. So that's why it's kind of in the center. So the cream cheese filling, this is the original. There's sugar, vanilla, eggs, cream cheese, and chocolate chips. Okay, so this was a little easier, I feel like, to recreate. So instead of sugar, I did 6 large pitted dates. And my favorite dates are medjool dates. Right now it's date season, believe it or not. So you can order from some date farms. And we love to order a pack of wet dates. They're like the ooeyest and gooeyest things ever. It makes for a fantastic holiday gift. If anyone wants to buy me a package of wet dates, I will gladly accept. And they have lots of different varieties. I can give you guys the name of the farm I like, but they're fantastic. We keep them in the freezer, and they're like the softest, carameliest dates ever. If you have old dates, you can soak them in hot water to kind of reconstitute them.
I'll put it in the email tomorrow.
Okay, I'll give you the name of the farm.
With the recording and everything.
I just bought a packet today because I was worried everyone's going to buy them out.
I wonder if it's like the press dates, because press dates are very soft and.
They call them wet dates in a lot of the different farms, but I should have brought them. They're like the carameliest, you know, they just fall apart. But they have a sample. You can buy like different variety of dates, which also can be fun.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how do you know from the wet dates what 6 large dates?
I mean, they look just like regular dates,
Oh,
except for they just like fall, I'd say fall off the
Oh, I see,
bone, but
okay.
they just like are super caramely, so they kind of melt. So 6 large dates of some vanilla. I use plant milk to help everything mix together because, you know, this is going to be thick cream cheese, but we still want our blender to mix things up. And then I always do a combination of raw cashews and white beans. Now, if you have a nut allergy, you can do all white beans. You can do sunflower seeds if you want to change it up. If you go to pumpkin seeds and some other different things, it'll change the color. We still want this to be nice and white to look like cream cheese. So you'll see when we cut into it, it's still that nice white color. And then I just use 100% dark chocolate chips that we get from Santa Barbara. We really love that company. And we just fold it in with the cream cheese as well. And then it gets put in a nice, like even layers you can around, and then you fill it up with that batter. So that is this, guys. So I'll show you guys. Now, I generally also, this cake is naked. I just want to show you guys it naked, but we sometimes will pop it with a frosting, like date paste is really nice.
Oh, I'm just, yeah. Maybe not.
It's hard to see.
Are we done with it or no, we're doing more?
A little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, we can show it after.
We'll show you after people online because the light's not great here.
But it's not like the prettiest when it comes out. So I like to take a little bit, and when I'm lazy, I like to take a bit of this date paste I have in the fridge already made. Put that on the top of the frosting, and then I like to add some fruit. So cut up strawberries, berries. You can make it look super pretty. The original recipe had powdered sugar on top. So you also can do, people ask me a lot about date sugar versus date powder. They sell date powder, which is finer. That makes a great powdered sugar replacement to put on your cakes. So while your world carries his date sugar is really like a fine powder. So you can sift that on top. Now that kind of absorbs within like an hour of doing it. So I would do it like right before you're gonna have it, would be my suggestion. But we most times will do that. We also have vanilla frosting or chocolate frosting. You can go those routes. And we make that with sweet potatoes. So lots of different ideas that you can make it. But just wanted to show it to you naked. And then made this morning. We like to serve this cold, ideally. That's how the original was served. So I make it, let it cool. We use a silicone bundt pan, so there's no oil, it pops out. You just have to be patient and wait till it cools. That's the trick with those things. And it pops out totally fine. And then we put it in the fridge before we're gonna serve. But I'm gonna pass around the same.
Okay.
And then I have enough for you guys to taste, obviously. But you can see that you can see that the middle is like beautiful. It looks very nice. It looks just like the original. Like no one would be able to tell. So I will show that at the end, and then we'll cut it up for you guys to try.
Now, how long does this bake and what up?
This bakes. Oh, there's my silicone. I got that off of Amazon. We have it on our Amazon shop. I love baking with silicone because it lets you bake without oil really easily. And we love, anytime we do a bundt pan, I love this guy. It bakes at 350 for 50 minutes. And it, you know, let it cool when it comes out. And I also, another tip that I do is I always put my silicone pan, especially my bundt pan, on a pizza pan, because it makes it stable from taking it in and out of the oven because it's all flimsy. And so I've a lot of things trying to take shortcuts, not worth it. So either on a baking sheet or something, kind of a pan really helps. But that is not, you don't, nope.
Okay.
Yep, it's wonderful. So as long as you let it cool and you know, you can let it cool. I sometimes will take like a little butter knife, or even if the pan's full, you can kind of just peel it away from the sides. And for that bundt pan, it has the middle part. You can make sure that's peeling just so nothing accidentally sticks. But I've used it. I've had that guy for 3 years now, and it's hasn't given me any issues since.
One of the things you have to be careful with silicone is that there's food grade silicone. There are different qualities.
Yeah, you have to make sure you get one that's for food, not for ice cubes and things like that. Or
Well, and also
know,
what the
bake,
what the ingredients. One of the things they tell you is if you twist it, if it turns white, it means that it's not solid and it's I don't know what else is on the inside. And there's a European standard that's supposed to be the best.
Yeah,
So,
and on Amazon, generally, when you Google that, when you look up that, they have that in there, so just make sure that's in like the description or the title. A lot of the times when I buy it, that's what I'm looking for in the title. But it doesn't just have to be desserts. It also can be family recipes like this one. This is a family recipe that we had all the time. It was the creamy chicken and rice. And I just want to share with you guys how easy this is, kind of my last meal that I wanted to share with you guys. So the original recipe, I used to think this was so healthy, although I never saw the recipe, and my aunt made it, and I just, you know, we had it over a bed of salad always with Italian dressing. And I'm like, oh, there's chicken and rice. I'm like, oh, I can eat like 2 helpings and it's healthy. Well, when I got the recipe and I found out there was like a cup of heavy cream in there and all cheese and all this other stuff, I was like, oh, I didn't quite realize that. So there's a rice, chicken, some spices, but chicken broth, heavy cream, Parmesan cheese, butter, and there might even been a little bit more. I think she was a little bit more liberal with that stuff, but this is the recipe she sent me. All right, and so this is what I figured out how to do. I wanted to take all those things that we love. So it was really the chicken and the rice over a salad. You serve the chicken and rice warm on the salad, and then you top it with Italian dressing. That was really like the keynotes from that recipe. So I thought, okay, we can do rice. So we do brown rice or forbidden rice or mixed rice, wild rice. And sometimes I change that up. Sometimes we do other grains besides just rice. So kamut or farro is a big one that we eat a lot. And then instead of the chicken, we swapped it for chickpeas. So bean was great. You also could do, tofu or something like that if you wanted to. Some kind of protein replacement for that. And then we just did vegetable broth. We spiced it up. Some spices that aren't in the original, like cumin and some other things that we really love, nutritional yeast, but really gave it some nice flavor. And I do this all in an Instant Pot, but you also could do it on the stove. And then also it topped with an Italian dressing. So I was like, need to figure out an Italian dressing. So, we don't have any oil or salt in our house. So what am I going to do for that? So instead of olive oil, we use aquafaba, which is if you buy cans of beans or if you make them from scratch, it's just the bean juice. That's what it's named after. And so it's really nice, little bit of flavor, but also it's a nice replacement for olive oil, especially in dressings. And then, we kept the red wine vinegar. That's fine. Lemon juice is fine as well. The miso replaced the salt. And then we just kind of spiced it up a little bit with the Italian seasoning, turmeric, black pepper, and the dried mustard powder. And I really like using dried mustard powder because anytime I eat cruciferous vegetables, a lot of the times you chop it and that releases I always mess this word up. So sulforaphane.
That was good.
Very good.
Yes.
Not too bad that time. But usually you have to do the hack and hold method where you chop it up, wait 40 minutes, and then that comes out like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you take a little bit of dried mustard powder, you don't have to wait. And I learned that from Dr. Greger. So anytime I add broccoli or anything that's cruciferous vegetable, I always just add a little bit. And in the Italian dressing, it's a great way to kind of sneak it in as well, because it's not a flavor that you're really dominant. The Italian seasoning is dominant in this. And then the red wine vinegar and the lemon juice give it that tanginess that we're looking for. And so you can do it in an Instant Pot or a stove top. And I have videos on YouTube of me doing both of these recipes. So you don't have to take notes, you type in Giroudi chocolate cream cheesecake or the chickpea and rice Italian dressing, it'll come up. But we love doing it because the Instant Pot's super easy to set. I just do the Italian dressing in a little mason jar. If you don't shake it vigorously and you just kind of take a spoon and mix it up, it won't get that foam. Or you could wait, a minute for the foam to come down. Sometimes I'm impatient, just want to use the lid and mix it up. But we always serve it warm over a bed of greens, and that's just like the original that I remember, and it's so good. And you can have it healthy. It's something that's comforting that I always attribute to this one aunt that made it. And it's a way that we've incorporated that family memory, without having sacrificed health.
Has your aunt tasted it?
She is not. But I have more family members that are more willing and less willing about being healthy.
Oh, we all do. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a close up of it. But it is really good. We love this dish. And so that's why I started that YouTube channel. It really was about taking family recipes that we love, like eggless salad, jalapeno poppers, nachos, corn fritters, and making them healthy. So I have 300 and some videos online. So we do like mini meatloafs, and that's a great one for Thanksgiving coming up or the holidays. And you don't have to make them mini, but they're really cute mini. So I always like to dress up and make things special for family coming over, or even myself. We do like a ricotta that's great in lasagnas, and again, that's cashews and white beans, or tofu that you can mix into a ricotta. We do eggless sandwiches that are really, really nice and delicious, or a hamless salad. So we take the same thing. The hamless salad has beet powder to make it pink. It's another way I get to sneak in beets because I'm not a huge beet lover. It's a little bit more difficult for me to get them in. But we love doing it in mashed. We used mashed chickpeas, and also we use some tofu to do that. Then we do like our Chinese takeout, which we love. So this is sesame, no chicken that I make. And, even on Lent, I haven't ate fish in coming up on 8 years, but on Lent, because I'm Catholic, we still make like crabless, crab cakes, or these like little like fishless sticks. And, those are things that, on Friday, it's not like I'm not eating anything any of the other day, but it's those traditions that keep it exciting and fun. And so that's a tradition that we've kept, even being plant-based. That's the tartar sauce with it. And then we do cheesecakes, cookie dough. There's chickpeas in that cookie dough. Can't tell. Stuffed pepper soups. We do kind of like a spinach pasta. We make raspberry jam or fruit jam. And so there's a ton of this chickpea piccata we made for Valentine's Day. So that's my phone number. Anyone's welcome to write it down. I do answer to text. Chatted with somebody the other day that messaged me on there. And so we're online, and I'm happy to help. A lot of people will send me family recipes or ask me advice, and that's what we're going to do tonight. If you brought some family recipes, I'm happy to help start conversations and help you dissect them. Or if you go home and you look at your recipe cards and you want to try something, there are very few things I can't do. Making lunch meat. It's one of the things you just have to make peace with. Like, haven't quite, although there might be a way, but not quite a way to make it less processed. Pie crusts are great, and you can do it whole food plant-based, but maybe not the pie crust that's flaky that you remember. So, there's not really a replacement for Crisco and things like that. But most of everything can be replaced and adapted and really enjoyed. And so, when I came to this lifestyle, it really wasn't embracing it forever. It wasn't like I was planning on ever going back. It wasn't a fad. And so how was I going to do that day in and day out and keep it fun? And I think I successfully have done that and continue to do that year after year.
Absolutely. Yes, you're a star. You have done it. I'm going to turn off the light, then then they can see you when you talk about recipes, and they can see the whole
and
thing.
I can pass out, we can sample, and then I can help anyone if you have a family recipe that you brought.
I brought one. My carrots and play.
I have a question.
Yes.
How long does the juice from chickpeas keep in it?
So I would say it keeps for about a week, but Linda Jones, favorite thing. Yeah, and we freeze it, and you can do it in ice cube trays. She's the queen of ice cube trays. And so, yeah, we freeze that, lemon juice, date paste, all that stuff freezes beautifully.
Marinara.
Yeah. Vegetable
What do you
broth,
think, like
then you
3
can
months, that's good frozen, or 6?
longer. If you package it correctly,
6 months at least, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I figured it had 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forever.
yeah.
Especially if you forget you have it.
Yeah, if everything's sealed properly, it can be a long, long
Yeah.
time. So I will cut this and pass
The
this
roving
out, too.
cameras, excuse me.
You good?
Yeah, that library lights.
Okay.
Okay, Okay, they want to see the whole cake. Da-da.
We're starting to cut into it.
What do you do for cheese lovers? That's a question here. Oh, yeah.
So there's so many great cheese sauce recipes, and so you can find like a cheese sauce that's more liquid. You could do cheeses that are a little bit harder with like a gar is a great kind of thickener. It just depends which cheese you're talking about. We do a feta, we do Alfredo sauces, I was a big cheese fan, so
Me too.
there are lots of ways to do cheese.
Linda Jones, who's right behind me, has done, she did a fantastic cheeses in April of this past year. It's on our YouTube.
I could try to do them a
And there's recipes on our website. If you go underneath the recipes there, you'll see cheese, non-dairy cheese recipes. And then she also did it last month for our, you did the broccoli cheese
Broccoli
soup.
cheese soup, and if they come to the summit, I'm doing a.
Oh,
cheese
yes,
class.
the summit. Oh, my gosh, yes. So come to the summit. Those who are in Pittsburgh, you will get an invitation,
It's in
or anybody. Yeah. And she's going to do a whole workshop on plant-based cheeses. Yes. Okay.
Sally, where do you find these
Okay.
okay?
That's
I
fine.
didn't have it.
Some of them are harder, between those, like a chocolate chip.
Japanese.
You
store.
probably need a better knife too.
Yeah,
Japanese food store.
better than plastic.
Remember Elmer's?
Yes.
It's in the same shopping center.
Oh, okay.
Like to the right of, it's in the back part of the. No, I don't want it. I got mine in Chinese.
I asked and they took that because.
Good, you know, I might have thought of it.
I like you, but yeah. And even though it's called white meso paste, it's always either yellow or tan.
No, I went in.
And mine is red because it's heavily.
Anymore?
I think Nancy and I, and
And
Sally.
And
And
you.
you.
It's in Monroe.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But not at
I had to speak a million times.
I'm thinking Thanksgiving. I'm going to have to get myself a bunch.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't even have that.
You wanna touch my carrot souffle or?
Yeah, we can talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about those. Wait, as soon as we get the cake samples, we will be talking about people who brought recipes. And of course, put it in the chat or anything that you're curious about transforming.
Exactly the same. Does
Okay,
everybody have something?
so I will dissect some recipes while we're here, so if you wanna hand me your carrot souffle. It was hard, I was saying that you need like, even back when I was in elementary school, they had the projectors that you could like stick it under and.
Yeah.
And now kids like don't know what that is, so even though I look really young, I promise. I remember those. So carrot souffle has carrots that are cooked and drained slightly. So we love carrots, and for carrot souffle, you just keep that. There are 6 eggs in that, which is a lot.
Ooh.
So I would probably do for 6 eggs for this. I would do 2 flax eggs. But I probably wouldn't up it any more than that. Because we don't really want, we want the flax eggs to be a part of it, but we don't want it to taste like flax. And then there's 1 cup of sugar. I would probably do, for this recipe, I probably would do date sugar. I probably wouldn't go to the date paste because a lot of the times when you're going from wet to a liquid, especially things like this, you can make something too wet. So I would do like half a cup of date sugar. I would cut it in half. And then you might even notice that you might even need like 1/3 of a cup, you know, you can play with that. There's 6 tablespoons of flour. I would keep that and just use, you know, whichever flour you like, whole wheat or combination you can. Baking powder. There's 2 teaspoons. I feel like that's kind of a lot, so I would maybe cut that back a little bit. So maybe like 1 teaspoon should be fine. There's 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I would think that would be very vanilla tasting, so I'd cut that back to maybe even half of a teaspoon. I don't know if I'd want it to taste super strong like vanilla. And did you, in the original, but could you taste the vanilla?
I don't think.
Okay,
And this is a 9x13 pan, so it's a big.
okay. And there's 2 sticks of melted butter, so this is the thing that is difficult. So 2 sticks, so there's a couple different ways you can go about it. Sometimes when there's butter in a recipe, you can do avocado for replacement, but avocado's green and you might not want avocado. So I actually recommend, we have a great split pea butter recipe that's made with split peas, and that doesn't work for everything, but I have a feeling for this that would work out pretty well. So I would do half a cup of that you prepare. And I think that would kind of melt in pretty good. And then there's some toppings. So that's the souffle part that you bake. For the toppings, there's cornflake crumbles. So instead of cornflakes, they sell even healthier cereal now. Like Ezekiel even has a cereal. Even they have like a healthier cornflake cereal. So if you're looking for that crunch, you could go that route. It says also use Rice Krispies. You could buy Rice Krispies without anything in them. They're just rice puffs. So you could go that, like puff cereal would be good. And then same, there's 4 tablespoons of butter, margarine. I probably would just do the same amount of that split pea butter that you've already made and have prepared. Then there's 6 tablespoons of brown sugar. I probably would do 2 tablespoons of date sugar. And there's 1 cup of walnuts and some cinnamon, which you could keep the same.
Sure.
But yeah, I would try. You have to let us know how that goes.
Okay.
But I just take it step by step and kind of dissect it. And again,
I'm
go ahead.
How do you make split pea butter?
So we have a YouTube video on it, but pretty much you're going to take cooked split peas, which are yellow. People make corn butter all the time too. So you could take, corn that's steamed and make it. Although I think that corn kind of has a stronger flavor than split peas. Split peas are pretty mild. And then you're seasoning it and thickening it up with different things like miso and some different flavors, a little bit of plant milk to make it nice and thick. But it's a great thing if you're looking for something to like spread on like garlic bread or things like that. That's a great replacement. Or on your corn on the cob. That's not an extra thing of corn. Nice for variety. So we have a split pea butter online you can just look up. And the co-op sells yellow split peas in their section.
That could really come, yeah.
I would make something, we had company the other night, and I made something with a crunchy top. I took Mary's crackers,
Oh yeah, you can do
Oh,
crackers.
sure.
and it was like, everyone's like, oh, this is good. Yeah.
Dessert.
Yeah, this was my most requested recipe before I was whole food plant-based. People love this.
This was like your vegetable at your dinner.
Yeah, like it's not.
And you can get carrot souffle, similar to like spinach souffle recipes. You could always go online and find a spinach souffle recipe that's whole food plant-based and figure out a way of swapping it for carrots. Like easy things like that. I like to go through the family recipe because then it gets it kind of closest to what you remember it. But nowadays with the internet, you can kind of find your swaps and easy things.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Who else has a
I'll
recipe?
have to try and bring it in.
if not, you can always email one like later if you get home. And I have tons of grandmothers and parents like hand, written out recipe cards. And so it's fun to go back through and see what you can do. Or even like old recipe books. Like I love when you go to a yard sale and you find old recipe books, and there's books. Although a lot of the books from the Depression era are really easy to make whole food plant-based. So those are kind of, if you have any of that stuff, those are pretty easy to go through.
Why is that? Is there not a lot of ingredients in
Yes,
there? Is that
yeah.
why? Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of things like were expensive, like eggs and butter and
Okay.
things. So they were like, making a lot of flourless things and things like that. So
Yeah, that's my kind of thing, like 5
yeah.
ingredients.
Yeah. So sometimes those are kind of like the treasure troves if you can
Yeah,
find them.
that's interesting. I never thought,
Yeah, this is before we became more fluent and get more richness and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have all the things we have today.
Right.
But you can definitely do most of every recipe. It's like 99% of things can be whole food plant-based and tweaked, and you can really love them and enjoy them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you ever pay any attention to the serving size? Sometimes, like when you make a casserole or something, seems like you could eat a lot more, cause it's just like you're dumping it on your plate, but do you ever pay any attention? Cause just cause it's whole food, plant-based doesn't mean you can eat as much as you want.
Right. When I started, I
Not able.
really followed Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, and I liked how he did it because, and being a woman versus being a male versus being short versus being tall and being an athlete versus not, it all varies a little bit. But, you know, I really liked his kind of categories of half a grain at every meal. And obviously if you're male or, you know, you might need something else, but as a minimum. And so that kind of helped me build my plate. So even like when we make recipes, depending on what's in it, I can kind of judge the serving size. You know, even like potatoes, like I can't sit there and eat 6 potatoes like some other people in the plant-based world
Right.
claim, because
Right.
it's still about calories in, calories out for weight gain. I mean, there's unfortunately no, you know, all the foods have it. So, you know, about that balance, but
We can't escape that one yet.
yeah, yeah, it's not just people in the plant-based world want to say like it still matters and it's all about balance and you know, just different ways. But I definitely, if it's like all vegetables, I mean, you definitely have a lot more than if it's like all starch or
Right.
something.
And My Fitness Pal and Chronometer, they're two good apps that you
Yeah.
can use to, you know, not that you're gonna track your food every day, but on occasion,
Right.
just go through and actually kind of see how many calories you're eating, or if you want to lose a couple pounds or something, you pay attention. And you're surprised. I mean, I'm always surprised at like how much I am eating, and I think, wow, you know, because you think, oh, I'm just eating broccoli
Yeah.
and this and that, but
It's good too if you're nervous about like getting in
Adds up.
certain nutrients, like, oh, how much calcium did I have today? And then you notice like you're way over the
right.
limit, and it's like, okay, do I need to be supplementing? Or, you know, you can inform your doctors like your iron or things like that. So I think those are really empowering tools. I always tell people come to me. I mean, the whole food plant-based and weight loss are such a strong component people find in this lifestyle, but a lot of times people will try plans and then have trouble losing weight, and you have to keep a diary for
Yeah.
a couple of days. A lot of dietitians and doctors will have you do that just to get an idea. It's really easy to kind of not
Go over.
know, you know.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of us are creatures of habit too. So, you know, kind of do the same thing day and out. So after you get your hang of it, or you feel more comfortable that you're getting in everything you need, you know, it becomes a little bit easier too.
The other thing too is I find if half of my plate is a salad,
Mm.
then I don't overeat the other bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's actually been a lot of nooks and crannies and chewing a lot and stuff and that.
Yeah, getting in as many vegetables and all
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm that way about soup.
I think there is something about eating something raw every meal. That's also good.
Yeah, if you notice that your digestion isn't having trouble, I know some people have hard times with more raw stuff, so it kind of varies. But yeah, I think preloading with soups and salads is a great
Mhm.
idea,
Mhm.
especially around the holidays when a lot of us have eyes bigger than our stomachs. And sometimes we, you know, I did that too, like before going to a place, or even if you're nervous about a place not having a lot, you know, a lot of times we're so focused on the food for the holidays, and really it's more about the company and spending time with each other. Food's such a little part of it.
Mhm.
And that's one way that made the holidays a little bit easier, is that I had a little bit meal, so I wasn't like dead hungry when I went somewhere, and then I could pick at things that were available or bring something,
Mhm.
and that made it a lot more enjoyable.
Do you ever substitute TVP or soy curls, or are they too processed?
They're different.
Okay.
So I don't really like TVP because that is more processed. That's textured soy protein, where soy curls are actually the soybeans whole that are just dehydrated.
Oh.
So soy curls are much healthier.
Oh.
So definitely soy curls win. And I love soy curls. They're a great thing. It's like the whole soybean, then soy curls, then tempeh, then tofu.
Mhm.
Kind of goes down. And tofu is healthy too, but you know, actually soy curls are pretty high up on that list of the whole bean.
Oh.
And so they're really great meaty replacements. So you can do, you know, we do lots of different things. If you love chicken or shredded things, like shredded meat and things, pulled pork, things like that, it's a great meatiness to it.
Mhm.
I've ordered another bag from Amazon. Should be here next couple of days. But yeah,
You mentioned in when I watched the YouTube about the vegetable, like shepherd's pie.
yeah.
So I have to ask you where you buy these things. Where do you buy the dehydrated mushrooms?
So you're lucky because you're in Pittsburgh, so I can tell you exactly where to go. If you're not in Pittsburgh, like the internet and Amazon is great, but Pittsburgh, we actually get ours at 2 different places. At Whole Foods has them. They're over. I just went there and got them not too long ago. They're right next to where you get all your salad stuff. So by the greens. Also the food co-op. The East End Food Co-op is fantastic, and they have it too. And it's kind of at the bottom by the Asian section if you go. So those are 2 things, and we love them because I love using dehydrated because it has such more of a strong flavor. So you can just soak them in hot water, dump it out, and use it for a lot of things like gravies are great. It really has a great umami flavor. And yeah, it's a great way. I always try to sneak in mushrooms too.
Yeah, I know, because you don't like.
Yeah,
you
it's a
don't
great
like
way of-
mushrooms,
yeah.
right.
Mitchell's Mushroom Farm right here in Murraysville. And yeah, he was here last winter doing a wonderful, it was so much fun, but he's still if you go to the Monroeville Farmers Market, there's 1 week left on Saturday morning.
Can't do that, but.
Yeah, or you can go online and he sells at some of the
What's the
stores.
name of this one?
Mitchell's
Oh, Mitchell.
Mushroom, MITCHE, yes.
Yeah.
I bought a really nice large jar from Costco,
Okay.
and they have multiple kinds of mushrooms
There
in
you
it. And so when you did your broccoli soup the last time, we were talking about how this would be good with mushrooms. I went home and I made it with the mushrooms, and I made it also with the dried mushrooms. It turned out fantastic.
Oh, I'm so glad you said
Need to get
it.
a
Costco has dried mushrooms.
Yes,
Where oh wow,
my son has the membership, so he picked them up for me. And then
okay.
they have these ones that you can just munch on too.
Yeah,
they're mushroom season.
Yeah.
But
That's great.
the dried mushrooms were really great, and I've been using them a couple times, and because Linda talked about, like, just because I was using them before, but they tasted like rubbery, I couldn't get them like chopped up, and when I used the liquid that they're in, and then just put them in the Vitamix and everything.
Them, yeah.
It just
Hide
marks
them in
everything up.
any way possible. So they're a great thickener, and it's a great way if you don't like mushrooms to sneak them in.
That's the easy way to get them too. And
Okay,
I like the variety, because then you get a different kind of flavor.
yeah, I'm
You can
gonna have to
also
go that.
put them in a like coffee grinder
Oh.
and blend them into a powder
Mhm.
and then sprinkle them on and use it as like a seasoning.
Mhm.
So if you're also, that's another little tip too. If you need like, we put that in like breadcrumbs with it,
Mhm.
and just another way of
Hmm.
me trying to get a little bit more of Dr. Furman in my life, but yeah.
I could clear off the top of that and the kids could have the Christmas village.
Any questions in the?
Yeah, any other questions from the recording on? Someone just was talking.
I think they were.
Diane, were you talking, or was that just that you weren't? So,
But lots of like hope, and the holidays are, stay strong. So I feel like it's the hardest time for people, and the longer you do this, the easier each holiday gets. I think we all can attest to that, like after doing this for a while, it becomes not a problem at all.
Have you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
My favorite salad dressing is a rice wine vinegar, but it's like pouring water on your salad. Is there any way to make it stick, like add something to it, so it wouldn't be just water on the bottom? I still love it. I tip though.
If you're trying to make it like a little bit of a
I want it
thicker.
to stick instead of like pouring water.
I really like putting it in like a spray bottle. So if you get like a little mixture, that's kind of nice. And even with like balsamic vinegar, you can put it in a spray bottle. And sometimes people like to do that on popcorn and things like that. So it's kind of nice to have it. So probably that, because it would be, if you're adding more to it, it would be probably a thicker dressing. That you might not want to go that route.
Well, I wish it would stick, but I just love the
Now,
flavor.
We love doing hummus with balsamic. And that makes a nice creamy dressing, so you could do that with the rice vinegar, and it will change a little bit, it'll take it not as strong, so you just might have to up how much rice vinegar you're putting it in. But we do, it's a tablespoon of balsamic, and you can get them all different kind of flavors, and California balsamic has a ton of different ones that we love, with a plain hummus, like 1/4 cup of hummus, and a little bit of Dijon mustard, and that's like my go-to salad dressing. It's creamy, it's easy, whips up in a couple minutes.
I
How
find,
about whisking in some aquafaba?
yeah, I was just gonna say
That would
aquafaba,
thicken it.
Or flax egg.
or I put flax ground flax in my salads and
Yeah, you
salad
could-
dressings, and it
You
makes
could
it bigger.
experiment with that.
Yeah.
It just might change the flavor a little bit of it.
But the flex probably would, that's,
I don't know, if you
Okay.
added just flax and rice vinegar,
you think?
yeah.
You don't think that the rice vinegar is strong enough that it will carry the seasoning away?
I'd be a little weary on that. I would probably would like sprinkle my flax just at the end. I don't know if I would use it as a carrying agent, but
Oh, yeah. Do you make stuffed shells? Want to know?
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we make a ricotta, and I always try to get in soy like various times, of the week for reducing my risk of breast cancer. So I love using tofu to do that. So we have to use like extra firm tofu because it's nice and thick when you add it to a food processor. And then you could add white beans or something to that, but seasonings, and it's a great ricotta filling. You can use that for lasagna or stuffed shells or manicotti or whatever you wanted.
Do you have a favorite recipe that you make in the blender? You make a lot of recipes in the blender, actually.
Yeah. My favorite recipe, I don't know. I mean, I love just doing sauces. So like a pesto in the blender, a butternut cheese sauce or a red pepper cheese sauce. Anything like that is really easy and simple to kind of have, but yeah, it's like asking you to pick your favorite child.
I was gonna say that.
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The cream cheese filling is pretty good if you're next to somebody who wants to like clean that out,
I have to tell you, my favorite Brittany blender recipes are your tomato soup
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and your mushroom. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
tomato soup or the marinara, really easy, but the tomato soup this time of year is definitely like,
because then you can add whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you say there was a mushroom soup?
And there's
I
a
do
mushroom.
have mushroom soup, and it's for people who don't like mushrooms.
Well, we like mushrooms.
Oh, that's good though. Yeah, that actually was a family recipe. I grew up in a Slovenian household, and they had something called sour soup every Christmas Eve. And so it was a mushroom soup based. There was ham hock and some other things in there that you don't think about as a child. But it was mainly like mushrooms and then this creamy broth, and they put sauerkraut in the soup, and we had it every Christmas Eve. And I figured out how to do it plant-based. And so if you go into our channel or website, you just type mushroom soup. We do that and add sauerkraut every Christmas Eve. And I have it next to my grandma's who has the ham hock in it. But we still get it with the bulky and everything else.
Sweet.
My husband's family, Italian family, used to make
Seven.
garlic soup.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I'd say the 7 fishes might be a little bit harder to do, but
Well, you could smell it, like with all the windows and doors
Yeah.
closed and 100 yards to down the street.
Never had that.
Garlic soup.
I bet you can still do it plant-based, girl.
Yeah,
You know, you definitely can do.
The one thing that I really liked that you recommended way back at the beginning, was the sausage seasoning. So if you have a recipe that you want it to taste like sausage, I don't know what the brand is or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember, I ordered it online when you, suggested it, but our traditional, stuffing recipe is with rye bread and sausage. And so I just put the sausage seasoning in there and it tastes like, it's
Yeah,
like-
there's a couple great like SOS free, like even with seasonings, it's once you become wholly plant-based, you're looking at all the ingredients, you're like, what? There's oil in my seasoning, like what is that? And so even finding that out, reading all the labels, there's some great ones on Amazon that are SOS free that have simple ingredients that have like even like bacon seasoning, but there's not, it's not flavor. So yeah, on Amazon, I think I could look up the name of the brand, but there's a great brand. There's Local Spicery has a bunch of great SOS free seasonings. I think they have a bacon
I
one.
think I got a
Not big
pepperoni
that.
one. I used that all the
Pepperoni,
time. They have
yeah.
a pepperoni one that has fennel, all straight, clean ingredients.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And when I make,
What brand is it?
I think it's.
Local Spicery.
Local Spicery, their pepperoni blend.
Oh, okay.
And whenever I make pizza and I put my marinara on, I just sprinkle my
Oh, that's good to
pepperoni.
know.
in the
I'll give all the
marinara.
links
It's
too
so
with the
good.
recording, so I'll remember to give her all the links to them too, so you guys have it.
Have you ever tried making like Vital Wheat gluten cutlets or any of that kind
Yeah.
of stuff?
I kind of stay away from Vital Wheat gluten because it's more for processed, like concentrated
Right.
wheat. And so it can cause a lot of digestion problems. So I stick more with the bean patties and the
Right.
soy, but you can take soy curls and do similar things with it
Oh,
that, you know, it doesn't quite react the same way, but it does a pretty good job.
Mhm.
So even like if you get a package of soy curls and you crumble them, they come really hard in the bag.
Mhm.
You can just take out all your aggression on the bag and make them into kind of dust, and then you can rehydrate them, and it kind of becomes similar where you can mold them into different things like meatballs
Oh.
or like cutlets and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So kind of a little bit healthier
Right,
approach.
right. Mhm, mhm.
Can you find those in stores or do you have to get those?
So they're only sold either on Butler Soy Curls websites because they're a very small family-owned company, or Amazon. You can't get them in Pittsburgh anywhere else.
And they come in a package of 8.
You can get them by threes actually.
Right, I've gotten them on
So you can order
Great.
based on like you could have enough soy curls to last you the rest of your life, or you can get, you know,
You found that the soy curls?
Yeah.
And you can freeze them too. I froze. them.
yeah,
'Cause
you
when I
can
get
freeze
3
them.
bags, I don't wanna make, boom, 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 3 bags.
What was the other name? Not Amazon, what was the other place you said?
Butler Soy Curls is the
That's what I
company.
did about right now.
And you can buy them straight from them, or they distribute on Amazon. But me and my another business partner who's a doctor, we had an interview with the owner, and he's in his 90s, and just like very small company, you know, just him and his son.
The Butler Soy. place.
Butler Soy Curls, yeah, and
And
they
I'm
just,
assuming that's in Butler.
it's
PA?
not.
Oh, it's not.
It's not. You would have thought, I wish it was. I would have went there. I think they live somewhere in the middle of the United States.
Okay, okay.
It's so
Thinking, oh, it's right
I
here.
know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it's small considering the number of plant-based, whole food plant-based people.
they just want to they don't want to take on more either, because they just want to be able to manage it in their family, and then they do a lot of mission trips. So it was really focused on, and he told us the story of how he found whole food plant-based was going on mission trips and seeing how, you know, sick people were and not getting enough, similar to kind of T. Colin Campbell's found to it. And that kind of started him to find out how to do the soy curls and give them out to people. So it was a really amazing story of the company, but they very much are just a family business that's small and want to be that. We were giving them all sorts of ideas how to expand everywhere, and they just wanted to do what they wanted to do.
We have a friend that made hot dogs out of
Mm.
carrots.
Oh yeah, carrot dogs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were pretty amazingly.
Yeah.
They taste good. I'm not a hot dog fan, so I didn't
Yeah.
care if I never ate on.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were good.
You can marinate them, and then they get nice and soft, and you can grill them. And there's other ways too that are less carrot like. We find that if you take rice paper wrappers and you wrap kind of similar to what you do meatballs or burgers, that kind of ingredient, and you wrap them kind of like a sausage, you can bake those or grill those, and then it's a little bit more meatier than a carrot. And sometimes that kind of tricks family members that aren't plant-based. I also love a carrot dog, but you know, if you get some other people to try a carrot dog, they might be giving you.
And what do you put inside the rice?
We just do similar to what you would do like a plant-based burger. So anything that, or meatballs or anything that would be kind of that meaty filling,
Okay.
you can stuff it and roll them up, and they make great ones. We actually did one for my membership. I teach cooking classes online and put out recipes. We did a kind of a Irish Day sausage. So we made kind of that inspired, kind of a full Irish breakfast. They have like kind of, you know, not blood sausage or anything like that, but you know, similar to what that side of the world does. But it was really fun. Yeah. Any
Well, I
other
got the
questions?
Date paste and date powder.
So date paste I make myself. So you can just take dates, and Giant Eagle sells them. In the kind of the section, this Giant Eagle sells it like right off of the produce, close enough to the sometimes it's by the nuts and seeds section, and sometimes it's by the potatoes. So depending, I go there a lot, so I'm like always where they have it. And we just do 1 cup of dried dates that you pitted to 1 cup of water in a blender. And you can use any dried fruit to make a sweet paste. It doesn't have to be dates. So if you have raisins, you have dried cherries, if you have figs or anything like that. It's a nice way to kind of change up flavors. So we do like apricot paste, and then also that kind of makes things interesting as well. So yeah, that's a great way. Date sugar or date powder generally is found online or at Whole Foods or the co-op. Those two places have kind of in a pinch if you need, but online, even like Walmart online has it.
If you're at, Home Goods,
Yes.
they have like a section that has all kinds of foods. You can find some of those things like date paste and.
Oh, shit,
food.
oh, really? My sister was at my house Saturday and she brought me this jar
Really?
of dates. She said she got it at, I don't know, TJ or one of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah. They're all the same company.
And it's, and you, she said, look at this, it's like a date jam. And all it is dates with some vanilla flavoring.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll look it up next time I'm there. And they also have dried fruit, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
More affordable than a lot of places. So we definitely get our
Yeah,
dried
I
fruit.
make date paste in batches, and then I'll put it in containers. If I know certain recipes that always need a third of a cup or a half a cup, and then I'll freeze it.
Yeah, it's really nice to
And
have it
then-
done ahead of time versus
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
having to whip out it and do it then.
You can also buy date syrup in a squeeze bottle too. I have that when you need something in a pinch. You want to
Yeah.
sweeten something very quickly.
Mhm.
It's a date syrup, which is more liquidy, but
And Patel's carries all that. The Indian food store. in Monroe. They've got date syrup.
No, I
And
didn't
they've
know
got
that.
dates, and I don't know about date sugar. Date sugar tends to be very expensive.
It's like $10 for a package, but it lasts a long time. So I'm
It
not
does
really
last a
using
long
it
time, yeah.
like so because I just bought another bag of it,
Yeah.
and you know will last me all of
Yeah,
I don't know how long, last bunch of months.
I've just started using coconut sugar,
Mm.
and that still has the fiber, I guess, the way it's processed. It's just coconut sugar.
Yeah, there's lots of different options. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely, you can find what you like. I like that the date items are a little bit more milder in flavor. So I find that it goes over well, like when you're not trying to have anything that's super strong, the milder of all of them. Although using like apricot paste is kind of fun. That has a little bit of a stronger.
Have you ever made raisin paste?
I have made raisin
Have
paste,
you?
yeah. Raisin paste, fig paste,
Oh,
apricot paste, plum, you can do kind of a prune paste with plums.
Yeah, fig paste would have a lot of seeds in it though.
If you have a Vitamix, you
Oh,
can,
that makes a difference.
yeah, you can pulverize.
Am I the new owner of Vitamix?
You have to figure it out. Yeah, you can mix it up really well.
I'm just learning all the wonderful things we can do.
Yeah, and same with like jams, like similar idea with jams, you can use frozen fruit or fresh fruit or even dried fruit and add some chia seeds and lemon juice and then water and you like pretty much have a jam.
do you think they're interchangeable or do they change the taste of whatever you're making, whether it's
Like the sweet paste.
the different paste?
Yeah, I think it definitely changes
Does it a
the
little
flavor.
bit?
I mean, like raisin is kind of mild.
Okay.
Like the cherry is a little bit certain flavors, but I find that you find what you like and then you might want to, changes it up. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. Keeps it fun.
Mhm.
I was looking at the was it half a cup of date paste for your chocolate
Yeah.
cake? Versus the 2 cups of sugar, and I was thinking that cake, it was delicious, but it was almost too sweet for me.
Okay,
I
yeah.
can imagine. the
Yeah.
other one would have been like,
Yeah,
oh.
right. Yeah, and it's tailored to and that's the thing is also whenever you start, you might find some people might not find that sweet enough. So
Yeah,
kind of-
it's amazing.
yeah, it varies for all where you're at in your journey and that's also like everyone can tweak things, for how sweet they like things too.
It's amazing how much I think our taste buds have changed over the years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a huge sweet tooth, but I could never eat that original cake now.
Yeah, it definitely.
It's healthy.
Or sometimes when people will bring you stuff and they have good intentions, they're like, oh, I made you this vegan.
Oh, yeah.
And out of obliging, you take a bite and then you're like, oh my God, like I'm gonna be wired because I don't know what's in that, Yeah, it's really, funny to see how much different. Even like salt and everything, your taste buds definitely.
That's the first thing I look at when I read a new recipe is how much sugar is in it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like things, and yet I'm sort of a mixed bag. I used to love birthday cakes.
Mm.
I used to eat the frosting first.
Yeah.
And now, for the most part, things that I bake, like a banana bread or something like that. I really, if the recipe says a half a cup, I'll do a third of a cup. And then I'll decide what I want to do the next time. But of course, I put chocolate chips in everything.
That helps. A friend who was French and he said half the sugar and double the spice.
Yes,
So
yes,
that was
that's
kind of
good
good
advice.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely when you're redoing all of those recipes prior, you definitely can cut back on a lot of it, like for sure. Cause
If
if
you put cinnamon in anything,
So
it
much.
automatically tastes sweeter. The aroma, it hits your nasal passages first, and you think you're eating something much sweeter.
yeah, it's all those pumpkin pies coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
With
yeah.
all that cinnamon in there.
You use the unsweetened chocolate chips, right?
I do. Yeah, they're just 100% dark chocolate chips, which is a testament to when I started whole food plant-based, I was the one that was used to like milk chocolate, white chocolate, you know. Don't give me the dark stuff. I only want the milk stuff for Easter. And you know, since doing this, it's like now I can't imagine it. That tastes sweet to me, you know. So yeah, it's, your taste buds definitely.
Well,
changed.
it's sweet because you have the dates.
But even like having it on its own, I would have never
You
done.
can eat them with no sugar on it.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's like a
there.
little piece of dark
I'm not there
chocolate.
yet.
I'm like,
Uh,
yeah,
I'm not there yet.
you could do that too. Oh yeah,
Yes.
not alone in that.
Mm.
You can eat a lot of it, like you know, it's a lot, but just a little. Yeah, that would be definitely a good way to end your day. But yeah, thanks. If anyone has any questions, or if you think of something down the road, you know, you get home and you're looking at stuff, you know, next week or whatever. I have cards that
Yeah, I
have my
was gonna
email.
say, yeah, get Brittany, and you'll get people that I'm gonna be sending Brittany's information. Yeah, that was, you're a wealth of knowledge. It is, this was
Oh,
such
sorry,
a
one more
grand
question.
one.
That substitute salt, what was the name of it?
Miso.
And that's in the grocery store too, like.
So
Yeah, that's what the
a lot of
Chinese.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was the, that's where that was.
Yeah.
There's Elmer's,
It's
they're
like
Elmer's.
a little soft butter tub, but it's see-through.
Okay,
yeah, make sure it's soy based because that's what the data showing that it helps prevent against the blood pressure and heart disease. So they do sell like some their Whole Foods, they have chickpea and other things, and there just isn't enough. I'm sure it's fine, but there isn't enough data to say that.
okay,
So I always tell people make sure it's soy.
okay.
And it lasts forever.
It does.
And can you use the refrigerator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I've never frozen.
Better because it's fermented, so
Like a cottage cheese tub.
it's like for my butter dishes in my refrigerator. So you're
It
going with that.
lasts forever, because you don't use that much.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't
and
use
it's
that.
fermented, so it'll stay good for.
And-
I think a year is what the expiration dates
You
generally
do have to
are.
dissolve it in a liquid. I mean, you can't just put it in, it'll remain clumpy.
If it's hot, you can, and it kind of breaks apart, but you could put it in a little bit of water to mix it up. Yeah, just make sure whatever it in, you're really
I'm trying to think. where
mixing
you
it in.
Had it in that shepherd's pie. You mentioned
So probably the mashed potatoes.
in the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, the salt replacement that people generally add, table salt.
So
little bit of plant
just if
milk.
the potatoes are hot.
Yep,
then-
and the plant milk will help
The plant
break it
milk, yeah, I
up.
would dissolve it in the plant milk first.
And you can see it, it's like yellowish in color, and so you'll be able
Look
to,
Like butter.
yeah, you'll be able to see, like, you don't want to clump, take a bite of miso, that wouldn't be good,
Yeah.
but it makes
Yeah.
sense.
I have miso that's sort of a burnt orange color. It's,
Mm.
the longer it's fermented, the darker it gets.
Right, and stronger
Yeah.
flavor, so they
Right,
have
they do.
red and they have other colors, which as long as it's soy, it's fine. I always like the mild yellow because it just kind of goes easier with, you know, you're not making miso soup, so it's not the star of the ingredient usually you want to taste, but you want that flavoring that it adds.
And when I asked a giant eagle here, it was probably a long time ago about, well, when the market district opened about miso paste, they had no idea. The woman said to me, "Oh, they have 20,000 new items, but I don't know that one." So they took, and I didn't know really what it was
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
So they gave me a jar,
Mm,
but it's to make soup.
yeah, like is it the minute miso or?
Yeah,
Yeah, packet, yeah.
So, I mean, is that any good?
I would have to read what's in the ingredients because sometimes that stuff they like throw in some stuff that's not the best. But yeah, Giant Eagle, unfortunately, I don't buy mine there. So yeah, definitely recommend the Asian market in Monroeville, or the co-op has it, Whole Foods has it,
Or Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah, you can get it off the Amazon.
Do you do your ratio just to taste or?
Start slow because you know, you don't want to overdo it. So I'm not really adding, you know, a huge serving size, like a tablespoon would probably be the most I would ever put into something. But like a teaspoon to start.
Depends on your volume.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm
Or what
making,
you're making,
if
yeah.
I'm making 6 quarts of soup, I put in at least a tablespoon.
Yeah, but it's not usually more, you're not adding
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2 or
cup,
3,
yeah.
you know, but start slow and then you can always add that to something too. You can't really take away.
I have one item that I use as a substitute is I bake my own bread. I have a bread machine. And when it calls for oil, and a lot of the bread recipes do, either oil or butter, I use almond paste.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you can use peanut butter too, but it's because it's got a lot of fat and
Yeah.
it's the fat that you're looking to add to the bread.
Yeah, baking nut butters or seed butters are great.
Right.
Tahini even, some people don't think about
Right.
tahini and things.
And when you consider how much volume you got with flour and everything else, the amount of fat you're using is really small. So to use tahini, which has a very distinctive flavor,
Right.
you're not going to taste it in the bread,
Right.
really. You know, all these other, you know, you've got the grains and you've got whatever other seasonings you have.
Yeah, and it's a good way of, you know, like you know, that stuff has like vitamin E, which, you know, if you do a cryometer, might be something that you struggle to get if you're not eating certain foods with it. So it's a good, I mean, I love, a lot of people are afraid of nuts and seed butters too, but in normal portion sizes, definitely fine for a healthy lifestyle if you're not allergic. But very cool.
Thank you again, Brittany. We're gonna sign off. Thank you. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And I want to say goodbye to everyone online still.